From Caleb's Basketball Pod. As promised, here is the conference finals preview episode. Let's discuss real quick the Oklahoma-Denver Game 7. So there's not a lot to talk about in general. Close game in the first half, first quarter especially. It was kind of mostly Denver, and then Oklahoma turned it up. They came back and tied it, and with about 3:17 to go in the second quarter, they went on a big 20-0 run that extended well into the fourth quarter and gave the Thunder a huge lead. From that point, there was no turning back, and it was all OKC from then on. I think that worked out best because if it was a close game, I believe it kind of favored the experienced Denver Nuggets. So, nice job by Oklahoma by not letting it get to that point. Jalen Williams had a good bounce back game after struggling in some of the games prior. And I think he is a really good number 2 option. I think the Thunder are looking for Chet to be a number 2. But I think if you give him the ball and you empower him, Jalen Williams is a better number 2, a more consistent number 2. We haven't really seen Chet go off in these playoffs yet. Not saying he can't. Just saying, as of right now, we have yet to see that happen. So they will play the Minnesota Timberwolves. Before we get into that series, let's talk about Eastern Conference series, because we've known this since Friday. We saw the New York Knicks blow out the Boston Celtics Game 6, force series clinching win in New York for the Knicks since 1999. So long time waiting, long time coming. Congratulations to the Knicks and their fans. They've been waiting for this for a while. Then the Eastern Conference Finals. I believe the last time they were in the Eastern Conference Finals was also in 1999. So here we are. Jalen Brunson, in a couple years' time, has done what Carmelo Anthony couldn't do in his time in New York, and that's take the Knicks to the conference finals. Mind you, when Melo was there, he was having to deal with the Miami Heat Big 3, Cleveland's Big 3, but no matter what, he still didn't do what Jalen Brunson just did now. So that's big props, and just congratulations to Jalen Brunson. This man's a star. He's the leader of the Knicks. He's the head of a snake, as they say. And they take on the Indiana Pacers, who took care of Cleveland in 5. And Tyrese Halliburton's been the head of that snake, so it'll be interesting to see the guard play in this series. Let's kick off with our preview. Our preview, I believe this series is going to go deep. I'm predicting a 7-game series. It gets tough on who wins at 7. I think there's some factors. I'm going to name these factors for this series. How deep does Tom Thibodeau go? Because we know sometimes he doesn't play the bench. I think he has to play the bench because Indiana is going to pick you up 94 feet. Playing Brunson, Bridges, OG, Josh Hart, guys like that, 40-some minutes when you're being pressed 94 feet is not a good idea. So I believe they need go-to bench players like McBride, Payne, Mitchell Robertson. Try to get those guys involved. See if you can get something from Precious Achiuwa. Just guys like that. You need that extra from them. Karl Anthony Towns, I think, is going to be huge, not only offensively, but defensively for the New York Knicks. We saw the bringing the bigs out, the switching, the getting the bigs on the outside that Indiana did against Cleveland. So, in that aspect, it's going to be big to see if Towns can move his feet, see what the idea is. Does New York switch like Cleveland did, or do they just hedge? That's going to be big in this series. I don't think the switching works. Maybe if you switch a little bit more aggressive, play a little bit more aggressive D, but did work for Cleveland. I would try to hedge as much as possible, but hedge quick and hedge aggressive so you can get back to your man. But that's the fun of the playoffs. You get to experiment on this stuff, experience it, and see how it's going to go. So it'll be interesting to see how the Knicks do that, how they plan to cover the Pacers. Because like I said, Cleveland had issues with it. Milwaukee had issues with it, and Rick Carlisle is a really good, experienced playoff coach, former NBA champion too. So, interesting to see how that goes. Tom Thibodeau, good coach in his own right under the Greg Popovich tree. So, I think we're going to have a good mental battle in this series too, as well as the players. Pacers side, the size and length that the Pacers have. It helped. A lot of athletic guys. But I think that New York has more length to deal with that than Cleveland did. Even bringing in Mitchell Robertson, someone that's a beast on the glass, rim protecting. The thing is all the Pacers going to get him out. If they get him out on an island, that may be where they have an advantage. So I think it's going to be a very interesting series. Andrew Nembhard played amazing in the second round series against Cleveland. I want to see what he does against New York. I think he needs to be a little bit more on the scouting report if you're the Knicks. I don't believe he was on Cleveland's scouting report much, and I think it bit them. So I believe, like, if you're the Knicks, you're like, hey, don't let... Because he's hitting those timely clutch shots. He may not hit the shot for a while, but he's hitting timely clutch shots. That has to be on the scouting report. Depending on where you go defensively, maybe a Josh Hart on him. Just don't let him get off, don't let him get going, and see what you can do with that. As I just said, I believe this series is going 7. It's really hard for me to predict, but because it's in New York, I'm going to go New York in 7. Because Game 7's in New York, I'm going to go New York in 7. I would not be surprised if it went either way. I wouldn't be surprised if it went Pacers in 6. But I'm just going New York in 7, but I think it's going to be a real testament to what Tom Thibodeau does, and does he believe in his bench players. Because I think at one point or another, when that full court pressing you're going to have to believe in those guys. We know Rick Carlisle believes in his bench, and that's why they have the ability to press 94 feet, because he knows he's wearing his players down, but he's going to use what he has. So interesting series. It's going to be a game. It's going to be a game of chess. Now moving on to the Western Conference series. Minnesota Timberwolves, Oklahoma City Thunder. I'd like to think that this is going to be a really good, and it could be a good competitive series, but I think in the playoffs right now, if I had picked the best team left, just all-around team, I would say the Oklahoma City Thunder. It has nothing to do with their record. It has to do with players coming in off the bench, doing their part, and doing the low stuff. All that matters. I think the Thunder have the best roster. I did think maybe experience, if OKC don't do so well in the conference finals, I think it's going to be due to lack of experience. But I think you gained and picked up a lot of experience in your matchup against the Denver Nuggets, going to 7 against former NBA champions and beating them. No matter what the score was, no matter this or that, you beat former NBA champions with a core, still the same core. So, very impressive on their part. I think that took some of those nerves out, some of the lack of experience away. I also don't think the Wolves have really been tested yet. They kind of dominated the Lakers series 1-5. They ran away with the Warriors series because Steph was injured. So I don't really think they've been tested, and I think that test is going to come with too many losses to recruit from. I'm going OKC in 5. It's going to be tough. I think it could honestly go... I think Oklahoma's going to win. I think it could go anywhere from 4 to 6. I would not be surprised if it's a sweep. But I'm going to say the Wolves are going to get 1. So I'm going Oklahoma in 5. I do think it's going to be competitive to a point. But I think when it matters, and it may even be blowouts if Timberwolves can't figure out how to stop and slow down the Thunder. And you have to deal with... the bigs. You haven't dealt with bigs if you're the Wolves. You finally deal with bigs in Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren. So now we're going to see how your defense really is when you have to play up against actual centers and bigs, not power forwards playing center or small forwards playing center. So be interesting to see, but I just think OKC got those nerves out. They beat former NBA champions. I believe they're confident. This is what they came here for. And I think they're going to take off with it, and I think the Thunder's going to the NBA Finals. On our next episode on Wednesday, not only will we recap Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals, but we will also talk about some of the teams that got eliminated in the first round of the playoffs, and we're going to give the off-season forecast. So that's going to be a fun episode, because we're going to go and we're going to talk about how they can get to the top. Some get back to the top. Some find their way to the top maybe for the first time in years. First time maybe in franchise history that they've got to a championship or close to. So we're going to have fun with that. We're going to talk about that in our next episode. So Stay tuned. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you Wednesday.